Hello and welcome to 52 Weeks. This week we're finally closing out Chapter 5 Housing. This section is looking at the very end, which is looking at the building blocks of a housing strategy. Moving on to goal number 3, quality attainable housing for city residents. Some overarching pieces in this area: distinct housing options, that we have a diverse population, provide alternatives to the limited housing types available in surrounding car-centric suburban communities. We can look at accessibility, attainability, and affordability as key pieces within Harrisburg. We look at small, medium, and large dwelling sizes. We can think about short-term and long-term apartments, condominiums, co-ops, and houses, and also looking at rental and ownership. We know the stats that are out there. Just to recap, Harrisburg is a transient city with 10,000 new arrivals to the city every 5 years. There's that transition and that swap of 10,000 people. Of the 11,086 people who created households in Harrisburg between 2010 and 2015, 87% of those were renters. People moving into the city rent before they buy. 44% are single households, and 21% are nuclear families. Some objectives for the city: looking at affordable housing policy. We want to preserve good quality units. That's again looking at an assessment. We're going to go through and rank and code them. We want to make more existing housing affordable. We want to expand the supply of high quality units, promote housing type diversity in residential neighborhoods, help the low medium income households build wealth, and we also want to connect and support services to housing programs, and lastly, promoting a socioeconomic diversity in residential neighborhoods. All these things should be included in our housing policy as a city, and any agencies, any nonprofits, anybody within housing that does any work in housing should be in alignment of this and working towards these goals together collectively. There should be some sort of metric or understanding of how this is accomplished, and how do we share common goals that show we are moving from where we were 2 years ago to something better. We need to have a system that also looks at this policy and shows that we are making efforts to be better. And that's going to take a lot of effort and coordination, so that every year we can celebrate in the achievements that we've gotten better looking at LNI household building wealth. We also are promoting socioeconomic diversity, that we see change within each of these neighborhoods, and also the socioeconomic diversity in those neighborhoods. We want to also build a landlord partnership agreement and risk reduction fund. We can build this in 3 steps, looking at rental assistance programs focused on either supply or demand. Number 2, homeownership assistance program, and also number 3, land use and regulatory initiatives. What this helps to do is get landlords into a better working relationship with the city and the properties that they have within neighborhoods, so that these relationships are strengthened besides this absenteeism that happens. We also can look at tactical housing efforts, making use of public land and underutilized sites for mixed income housing, incorporating affordable and accessible housing, restore a functioning property market that supports asset appreciation, requiring mixed income developments near transit, and plan to protect LMI investments. Those are in the low medium income level. They are building their wealth. Another portion is looking at the finance strategies. We got the federal and state funds, the LIHTC, and we also have the home and CDBG grants. We have pooled equity models that can finance. We have housing choice vouchers, HCVs. We have affordable housing incentive fund that was mentioned within this chapter. And also we can create a separate tax classification for multifamily affordable housing, or payment in lieu of taxes. Looking at the objectives, starting at objective 5.3.1, strengthen the financial and policy mechanisms of local housing strategy. And this looks at committing to attainable, affordable, accessible housing. We want to lead the regional efforts to increase affordable housing preservation and production. We should be modeling this to other towns in our area and our region. Everything that's happening internally could be used models in a statewide initiative. Objective 5.3.2, ensure availability of attainable housing options for all city residents. We want to implement a suite of policies for the incorporation of high quality, affordable, accessible, attainable housing in all neighborhoods and across all residential building types. Objective 5.3.3, plan before building. Again, I'm pointing out at a action plan because it's important. Prepare detailed plans for revitalization of large tracts for mixed use development that has a broadened range of housing options and amenities. This is in the small area planning that needs to happen. It takes small area plans and it takes strategic planning. We need to do planning in order for this to happen. This just doesn't appear out of nowhere, and it's not going to just happen if we let the markets take their course. The markets will not follow this stuff because that's not what they're intended to do. They're a reactive process. We look at what the desire and needs are. This is long-term growth within our city. We need to set that standard. We need to set those goals to achieve that. Being reactionary is not going to get us there. It's got to be proactive. Objective 5.3.4, expand supply of attainable housing by promoting housing type diversity citywide. And as one of the actions, expanding the supply of new housing units provides an opportunity to add to the city's housing stock that target areas of specific need in housing stock. This is looking at programs that assist supportive services that have a number of units designed for accessibility, independent living, availability of units within fully and visitable accessible design. So we want to make sure that we have housing types that have diversity for accessibility. Objective 5.3.5, promote socioeconomic diversity in residential neighborhoods. A deconcentration should be applied to other distressed pockets in the city, racial and economic diversity in residential neighborhoods where cities, households have access to social, educational, and economic opportunities. We want to make sure that we diversify these opportunities to everyone within the city. Objective 5.3.6, help LMI households build wealth. This is creating opportunities for property ownership likely to generate wealth. This can be identified in the small area plans and in the programs that happen within housing. How do we support LMI folks and looking at building this wealth long term, investing back into our city? Objective 5.3.7, connecting supportive services to housing programs. Identify and strengthen connections to housing that has a focus on supportive services. This is disabilities and special needs, that those programs should be strengthened and looked at how do they better connect within the neighborhoods and within the groups that are already operating in housing. Objective 5.3.8, broaden financial strategies. Continue to make use of state and federal funding sources. We want to monitor programs to maximize usage. We need to set up metrics to look at this and making sure that we're doing well. This goes back to the housing policy that has goals and objectives, and that it is a measurable process through whatever metric that you want. Objective 5.3.9, establishing alternative funding pools. Augment state and federal funding sources with locally held funding and incentive mechanisms. And one of the action items, establish alternative housing initiative fund. That's the AHIF, was the acronym given in the comp plan. Some sort of fund that is that initial mechanism, and that needs to be worked out or sketched out. Objective 5.3.10, develop a City of Harrisburg affordable housing ordinance and guidelines. This goes without saying. Establish affordable housing ordinances as a key for leveraging private development for affordable housing. This provision of such as an ordinance that should be defined by the city's zoning ordinance as part of the site plan approval process. The ordinance would then apply both to residential and commercial specific exemption site plan developments that will then have a gross density with a floor area ratio FAR of excess of 1.0. And with that is, what is the type of affordability and what types of building types do they have?